Hello and welcome into another fantasy hockey video. Today we will be talking about the top 10 defensemen going off of draft boards in fantasy leagues. This is just like the goalies video I did the other day. If you haven't checked that one out, feel free to go on my channel, check it out. Subscribe for more fantasy hockey content and hockey content in general. Hit the like button if you like these videos. Gets the video more recommended, gets it shown to more people, and grows the channel and expands our fantasy hockey discussion. So let's talk about the first defenseman going off the draft boards this year, and that is Victor Hedman at an average of 14.1, which is way too high in my opinion. Victor Hedman, best defenseman in the league, but not for fantasy. Victor Hedman is always going to be that, if he plays 82, he's probably putting up like 65 to 70 in his prime, which he is in his prime right now. He's just not good enough offensively to warrant going at 14.1. Best defenseman in the league? Fantasy-wise, no. You should not be taking Victor Hedman this high. It is a mistake. He's probably a third-round defenseman, not a first-round defenseman. Probably in the 30s, not in the teens, 100%. Victor Hedman will be a solid defenseman, will be a guaranteed top 10 defenseman. Maybe not even a top 3, though. He's probably around the 5 spot for fantasy point-wise, in my opinion. I think it would just be... There's just not enough there's not enough of a guarantee to take him to the top 20 here, in my opinion, when it comes to fantasy, and I'd avoid it. John Carlson, however, is probably the best high-tier defenseman to bank on putting up points. He's been consistent. The last 3 years, let me flip my notes here. He went 68 points, 70 points, 75. You know what you're getting with John Carlson. You're getting a guy who's going to put up around a point per game, and you just don't have many defensemen you can look at and say, yeah, he's going to finish around that. Finished ranked 14th last year. I think that's obtainable this year. Is one of the best power play quarterbacks in the league. Is on a power play with OV, who you just pass it to him. He's probably going to shoot it, and he has a good shot at finding the net, which gives you some easy assists. 26 of his 75 points came on the power play last year. He's going to be running the unit with the same faces again. Kuzi, Backstrom, OV, and Oshie, I want to say, is the other guy. Yeah, that sounds right. And I think he's probably going to finish in the top 3 for fantasy defensemen this year again. We then move on to 3, Cale Makar, and the sky's the limit for this kid. He's probably one of the most fun guys to draft just because you're going to be able to watch Cale Makar a lot and be cheering for him. Probably the most explosive of these defensemen this year offensively. Can create the most, can create something out of nothing more so than anyone on this list in my opinion. Playing on a loaded Colorado team offensively, is going to be the power play quarterback for a power play including Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, Nazem Kadri, who has scored 30 goals before in his career, Brandon Saad, or Andre Burakovsky, who are both 25 pace guys themselves. Cale Makar should be a top 50 player. Whether he finishes above his ADP, which is 28.6, whether he finishes in the top 20, the top 30, top 40, he's still going to give you a very good production at a position that you need good production at. Like, good production at the defensive position can really push average fantasy hockey team to a great one, because you're going to get scoring in a position where other people just don't have it. So I cannot question anyone who takes Cale Makar at 28.6, and I think it's a fair spot for him to go at. We go on to Roman Josi, who is more like of the John Carlson, where he is a sure thing. It's just the ceiling is a little lower for Roman Josi, in my opinion, than a John Carlson. He put up 65 and 69, which is very good point production. He was the only other defender to finish in the top 50 last year for fantasy rankings. And I think there's going to be like 5 or 6 fantasy defensemen who finish this high. I'm a little more bullish this year on defensemen than I have in past years, just because of the talent of Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, fully healthy Dougie Hamilton. Victor Hedman has a shot as well, but Roman Josi should be in that top 50. Finished slightly under a point per game. 25th power play Nashville was last year. Could see some improvement there just because when you got the talent of Duchesne, Ryan Johansson, Victor Arvidsson, Philip Forsberg, you would think they're going to rank a little bit better than 25th, or at least I would, just because they're pretty talented. They just got to figure it out, which hopefully the coaching can for them. But I think Roman Josi is a pretty safe pick here at 33 if he's your first defenseman. You know what you're getting out of him. We then move on to Dougie Hamilton, who was having a breakout year last year before I think he broke his leg. That was injury. Either way, this is probably the defenseman with the best goal-scoring ability when it comes to just shooting it from the point of any defenseman in the league. Big guy. He's like 6'5". Can hammer it. He's going to be the power play quarterback, or is at least projected to be. I'd be surprised if he wasn't, though, with the shot he possesses. With a group with Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, and I want to believe Martin Necas, or I'd like to think Necas or Trocheck. Trocheck has a good shot, too. So it's probably one of them to be on this. Or it might be, I think Dzingel was listed on Daily Faceoff, but I don't really buy him being on the first power play unit. But, you know, He might be. He might be. But Dougie Hamilton was fourth in points per game last year for defenseman. Has real top 50 ability, which I think if you draft Dougie Hamilton at 44 at the defensive spot and he finishes a little below that, you're not going to be too upset as long as he's not having a crap season. If he's in the top 60, you're probably okay with this pick because of the production he's bringing you at a position where you don't get production from as much. We then go to Quinn Hughes, who I think is the best value pick out of the top 10. Quinn Hughes has real potential to finish anywhere from number 1 to number 6 where he's going. I'd be surprised if he finishes any lower than the 6th spot. I started drinking the Kool-Aid on Quinn Hughes fairly early. I really thought like the ability he brings from the back end. He's like a high mobility Torrey Krug, I think is the thing. Like his skating ability is insane. Power play quarterback last year for the Vancouver Canucks power play, which finished 4th in the league percentage wise. 16 points in 17 games. That's when I really started drinking the Kool-Aid and believing in Quinn Hughes. 8th last year amongst fantasy defensemen. It was his rookie year. Really be surprised if he's not at least in the top 10. I think he's a fairly safe pick at 52.9 with a very high ceiling. This is a defender I'd most likely take out of the top 10 and one I will be gunning for in drafts, and I hope the people in my league who watch these videos take note. You're going to have to reach on him to get him because I'm going to be taking him around that 50 spot if he's there. We then move on to Alex Pietrangelo, who's going around 55, another safe pick here. Going into Vegas. Vegas had the 4th best power play, or is that 9th? I believe that is a 9 I wrote down. They have the 9th best power play in the league. And, no, that's got to be a 4. Either way, 4th and 9th, it's a top 10 power play in the league. And, you know, Pietrangelo is an upgrade to the power play quarterback spot that they had last year. I believe it was Nate Schmidt. So they should be a top 10 power play again with Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, William Carlson, Jonathan Marchessault, and maybe a Cody Glass can get some looks. Maybe Alex Tuck if they want a big body out there. Another big body, I should say. These are some big bodies out there with the names I have listed. Finished 3rd amongst fantasy defensemen last year, ranked 58. I think you're getting a very on-average guy right here. Like he's going 55. I'd expect him to finish around that if I'm honest. Has top 50 upside, no doubt, going to a new team in Vegas, which has just a higher scoring ability, in my opinion, than St. Louis does. And nothing wrong with this pick. This is just an okay pick. Brent Burns. Brent Burns is the guy to avoid out of the top 10, in my opinion, unless he falls in your draft. A lot of people are going to be reliving in their brains when picking Brent Burns the 29-goal season he had a few years ago, the 80-something points he dropped, and I just don't see it happening again. He's 35. I think his best days are behind him. I think he's still going to be a good fantasy defenseman, but I just don't have any faith in him to get back to the elite tier he was, and I think his regression is plausible. I think it's possible. I think it might happen. So I don't like that. If he drops in your draft to around like the 13th defenseman, that's where we're talking about taking him. But as the 8th defenseman, there's guys behind him who aren't in the top 10, like a Tyson Barrie, who I'd much rather have. Tyson Barrie is going to be on an Edmonton power play with McDavid and Draisaitl. That's probably my best value pick for defenseman because he has real top 5 potential as someone outside of it. But Brent Burns, I don't see him being a top 10 fantasy defenseman. I might eat crow on that, but I'm just not willing to take the risk is the big thing. It's not worth the risk in my opinion. We move on to Morgan Rielly, who injuries, not always on the first power play unit last year. You might get a good value pick here in my opinion. I think he's probably a top 10 fantasy defenseman. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. And the big reason why is last year he wasn't always on Toronto's first power play unit because they had a Tyson Barrie. But this year he will be, and they have a guy named John Tavares who's a past 40 goal scorer, Austin Matthews, a future 50 goal scorer whenever they have a full season. Another full season. He's going to hit that mark. He's just insane with his shot. We got Marner. He drops dimes. You got Nylander, who scored 30 goals last year. And then Morgan Rielly, who put up 70-something points, not last year, but the year before that. And I expect Morgan Rielly to get back into that form when he's playing for the first power play unit of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are in a division that I think if they can win, I think the Leafs are going to be pretty good this year with their acquisitions on defense. And I think Morgan Rielly is going to be the power play quarterback, and I want some stock in Morgan Rielly. 61.3, I think he's going to outperform that draft stock and be in the top 50. We then move on to Torrey Krug, new team, and how quickly can he gel? This is a very power play dependent guy. You look at his stats, 49 points, 28 of them came on the power play. That is the highest percentage amongst the high-tier defensemen for points. And St. Louis has a good power play. It was run by Alex Pietrangelo last year. I expect Krug to do just as well. He's going to be getting first pair of minutes, I believe, in St. Louis. So I think his production is going to be similar to last year, where last year he finished 10th. I expect him to finish around the 10 mark, maybe as high as 7, maybe as low as 13. But I think you're going to have a fairly safe pick at 65.8. There's some upside potential here. He could go off. Some people go to a new team and absolutely like flourish. He's going to be probably getting more minutes a night than he was in Boston. Maybe not, actually. I just think Torrey Krug's a pretty safe pick here. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get into anything else about it. You know, he's going to be the power play quarterback. Pretty good power play. Where did St. Louis finish last year? 6th last year? No. 3rd last year. They finished 3rd last year. I knew it had in my notes. That being said, those are my thoughts on the top 10 fantasy defensemen going in the draft this year. Please leave your thoughts down below with who you think is overrated, underrated, people not inside of this video. Also, my next 2 videos I plan on doing are goalies who are sleepers. That should be tomorrow, and then the day after I plan on doing a defenseman sleepers video. So you guys have that to look forward to, and I know you guys like the sleeper videos more than you like the top 10 videos because you know that you can find some gems. I may put you onto some good gems that you weren't thinking about. That being said, if you like the video, thumbs up button, the like button down below. Please hit it if you like the video. And the subscribe button. It really supports the channel. And that being said, Happy New Year. I'll see you in 2021. Peace.